Yeah, it's time to action activate here on Power Rangers Chat and Beast Morphers Review and all that good jazz. I am Gazbot, known here as the Gazbot Knight. With me, not with me, is the Dawg Defender. As you can see, there's an empty, sad hangout. He is coming, but once again, he works a normal 9-to-5 job. I don't, because I'm living the life of an artist, so I just got to hit deadlines and could work whenever I could work. But he is hitting traffic or have some kind of problem. I know he's on his way, so he'll join us shortly. Let me see what's... Oh, we already got some people chatting. So hello to Matt Kendall Claire and hello to Dolly Girl. And you know, it's funny, Matt Kendall Claire, I can remember your name better now, your full name, because it only recently occurred to me that it's Matt Kendall, like the Dino Charge character, Claire, like the actress that plays Kendall. And yeah, that helped me remember a little bit better. So for those of you that are new, this is the live version, or you might be watching it on YouTube after the fact. We do this every Monday at 5 p.m. West Coast, California, U.S. time, and then it rebroadcasts the next day on YouTube. And we talk about the current episode of the current season, this season's Beast Morphers, and then we talk about news and other things, all Power Rangers related, and chat. And I think we might be getting the Bigdawg. Oh boy, there he is. Say something so we can see.
Howdy.
Hey, we can hear you and everything. What perfect timing. I just got done with a little intro. So this is the Dawg Defender. He's usually here at the start, but once in a while he comes a few minutes late, and that's fine because I'm good at talking. So let's see. Matt Kendall Claire, yes, that's precisely correct, guys. Exactly, there you go. Yeah, I was just saying, Bigdawg, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but Matt Kendall Claire, who is a frequent watcher, Kendall is the Dino Charge character, and Claire is the actress that plays Kendall. So Matt Kendall Claire.
Yeah, I thought of that. I didn't know if there was any relation or not, but I do like the coincidence, especially with the Ranger.
No, it's not a coincidence. They named themselves that because they're a fan of Power Rangers.
Oh, okay. then yes, we are on the same page. Okay, good.
Yeah, hi, I'm Gaz, Tommy, Jason Oliver, Jason David Frank. That's just coincidentally my last name.
It could be. I don't know, but yeah, that's pretty cool. I will say, out of all of the Dino Charge figures, I would probably say that the two Purple Rangers are my favorite, only because there are the two different versions of them.
That is true. I actually never got the male Purple Ranger, and I always kind of regretted it. But hey, who knows with the Lightning Line, maybe they'll bring it back. Speaking of which, let's get into news. Is there any Lightning Line news you'd like to discuss? I know I've heard a few things, seen a few things.
We're going to have to one-shot this.
Okay, we're going to the Bigdawg one-shot. Here we go.
I'm coming in close. To those of you that go to Target frequently, that possibly work at Target or at Hasbro, please just get the communication better on when these figures are supposed to be out. Either one, have there be no street date if you're from Hasbro, and just let us buy them when they're on the shelves. Or two, if you're at Target, don't get our hopes and dreams up by putting them out 2 weeks early and then not letting us buy them, because that's just a poor experience, and we will have to buy it elsewhere.
I'm switching to a two-shot. I agree with everything you've said. Just for those that haven't kept up, the Lightning Line is the 6-inch, like higher-end $20 figures from throughout the series that all the collectors are excited to get. And the street date when they're going to be released, there's been some controversy, and many people, including myself and the Bigdawg, have found them on the shelf and then not been able to purchase them. And not just here in California, but all over, people are reporting this. And part of the confusion thing comes from, it was originally announced that April 21st would be the release date. That is Easter. Most stores, including Target in America, are closed on Easter. So then it was like, oh, it'll be released the next day or the day before, and that became unclear, and then it became May 1st. But it's not May 1st everywhere. Officially, I looked on Amazon, and it's May 1st. And Target is saying it's May 1st. But Walmart's been selling them for a while now. Now, did Walmart have a different date, or is Walmart just, I don't care? Other people said they ordered from Amazon and already got their Lord Zed, even though it says, so whatever the original date was, and whatever people are deciding to, follow the rules or not, clearly there was some miscommunication all along the round, and it's, for the launch of a new line, it's not a good thing. We all want them, but it's definitely frustrating us. But Target is the biggest problem because they literally put them on the shelves multiple times at multiple locations and then told people they couldn't get them. Let me check chat.
I think.
Oh, good.
I was going to say the only thing I can theorize is why these are street dated, because there's no spoilers involved with the show, is maybe Hasbro's quarters are broken out where they're shifted by 1 month. So their first quarter of the year maybe is February through April, and maybe they're on April or on May 1st. So that way the sales count for a new quarter. Other than that, I have no idea why they're street dated.
I mean, that's a whole business thing that they have reasons for, and I don't have a problem with it. Just make it consistent. Don't,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, so that we're all unhappy about that. But hopefully, if you find it at Walmart or something, got lucky, great. But everybody else should start getting them May 1st at least. I see we've missed a little bit of chat. I want to check real quick.
I want to update something regarding Battle of the Grid on Friday, but it was posted on their Facebook on Thursday. I'm assuming this is a part that I may have missed in regards to Battle for the Grid.
I also missed it, but I wasn't following it super closely. That'd be more of a Bigdawg topic.
Okay, on the Battle for the Grid Facebook page, they confirmed the Cenozoic Blue Ranger is not the one Billy would. Okay. So Matt Kendall Clare's bringing up something we touched upon last week about the Lionsgate movie Rangers being in Battle for the Grid. So the way I read it is that this one, because it has slight changes, is supposed to be the one on Zordon's team. But at the end of the bio, they also mentioned that Billy then takes on these powers. So I see it as then both being it.
Wait, Zordon's team, like the Lionsgate movie version, but the one that was when Zordon was the Red Ranger, this was his Blue Ranger.
Correct. That's how they lead the bio, but then they also bring up Billy at the end. So I see it as it potentially being both, whether or not one's true, the other's false, or both true, whatever. I'm just glad that they're in the game.
Yeah.
So
is there a difference? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That was about it.
Is there Oh, yes, thank you for the update. I was just say your thank you. I have a thing to say. Come on. Yeah, thank you. You're all thanked. No, I just want to know if there's a difference in look, because there could be a different person under the armor, but does it look different, whether it's Billy or the original Blue Ranger from that line?
I think there's slight differences in the Cenozoic, like, Zordon era version, where I think some of the shading is silver around the, like, diamond marks. But actually, while you catch up on chat, I'm going to pull up an image.
All right. Dolly was saying regarding Matt Kendall Clare's name, I thought it was like 3 people in the family. I didn't know. I also thought it was just like a long name. But that's why I said suddenly it hit me. It was a reference. Dolly Girl also says, Billy, I really like Darcy Montgomery in Stranger Things. Confused about the Billy. Sorry. Yeah. Was that actor in Stranger Things? I don't remember that.
Dacker Montgomery is the Red Ranger. He was on.
Gotcha.
As Max's stepbrother.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or
cool.
as her brother. I don't remember which.
Yeah, but I like them. And most of the actors in the movie I like too. Like I've said, it's not my favorite movie, but I don't really have a problem with any of the actors. And Blue especially, I thought did a really good job. I'm gonna go back to the Ranger show. Do you have you have image? Let me give you one shot.
Yes. All right. So here is the image on the wiki. I'm pretty sure this is the Billy version.
That's what. Yeah, I mean that's what it looks like to me.
Okay, so there's that, and then this is the technology. This is the 3-shot from the game specifically, where, as you can see, it's a lot more silver around it.
Oh yeah, on the chest especially.
Yeah, so I mean, either way, happy to see him in the game. Also, those are the other 2 Rangers that we had mentioned on the previous show. I'm leaning honestly toward getting the game soon. I think I may pull the trigger in the next couple weeks.
I mean, if you get the game, it would make me more likely to get it because then we could play and talk about it on the show. So yeah, I'm definitely not getting it if you don't get it. If you get it, I might. Dolly's. His name in Stranger Things is Billy. Correct. So okay, that's the confusion. Fair enough. All right. So did you have any other Ranger news or anything you'd like to talk about?
Ranger news.
You think about it. I have one thing I wanted to bring up. It's not a big deal thing.
Go for it.
But if I open this, oops, I got the wrong thing open here. I want to open this up because we were watching TV recently, and I forget what we were watching, but it was on Hulu or something, and I kept seeing this commercial. I imagine you don't hear any sound, right?
I don't, but I'm seeing a slightly... Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm going to turn the sound off. So there's no sound for anybody. But this came on, and I was only half paying attention. I'm like, she kind of looks familiar, right?
Oh, yeah, that's Erin Cahill.
That's right, Time Force Pink. Yeah, and I was like, oh, my gosh, it really is her. And I looked it up. And not only is it her, but apparently she's the new Redfin spokeswoman because she posted on her social media, hey, have you seen my new commercial? This will be the first of many. Proud to be the spokesperson, whatever. So then, of course, we made lots of jokes about the Power Rangers putting people in houses and then, monsters crashing them. And, it became a thing. But I don't know. It was just a fun little piece of, like, a Power Ranger, does good. Like she's one of the Ranger actors or actresses that has had one of the better post-Rangers careers. Not all the Rangers have as much success. Oh, hey, Baha Bug. Thanks for the host. I appreciate that, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
Let me close this out. All right, let's see what's... Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. To be honest, when you pulled that up, I thought you were showing me the Cheddar Goblin commercial from.
Oh, no, the Cheddar Goblin commercial from Mandy is amazing and better than the whole movie probably, but it has nothing to do with Power Rangers.
Yeah, when I saw the old kitchen, I was like, oh god, and then I looked. Okay. In terms of Ranger news, I know we had touched upon this in weeks past, but as the Lightning line and all the Hasbro stuff is coming in, obviously the Bandai stuff that is currently re-released and out is going to start dwindling. So
Right.
For those that have not purchased things that were maybe on your wish list or things you didn't get the first time, please get it now. I know from personal experience, I took the plunge and got the Zeo Gold Staff, and not only myself, but everybody in my office loves it. So
I have a question. Did you ever get the Dragon Dagger? Right, that's what I thought.
Do it as I say, not as I do. No, right. It is something on my list. I've seen them at my local GameStops a lot. There's a few that I frequent, and it's one of those that I'm definitely getting. I'm actually doing a toy purge right now, so I'm kind of using it as soft motivation of I shouldn't get a Dragon Dagger until I start moving stuff out. So maybe as like a milestone of oh, I got X amount of things out. But no, you've been telling me for at least 3 years, hey, you should get that Dragon Dagger.
Well, because you don't get it, and then it goes up in price, and then they re-release it. You don't get it, and it goes up in price. But as you just said, this is like your last chance. And you're like, well, believe me, I know, understand the purge and getting money and stuff. But like, I'm afraid you're going to wait a few months, and now it's going to be up in price again. And, whatever. Do as he says, not as he does, as he says. We'll get into the show in a minute. Let's check chat real quick. Mike Kendall, that's cool about Aaron. Also, happy to have any character in Battle of the Grid. They have the game for Switch. And then Baha Bug, anytime. Again, thanks for the host. And Erzuki, yeah, Gazbot Knight and Bigdawg Defender. Pipe. Okay. All right.
So segue time. Let's talk about this episode.
All right. Well, let's go into the episode. Oh wait, there's Heather's lightning line. I didn't even pull them up. All right. So the episode starts. There's a and we see a train station, and what could be going on here but nefarious things, because here comes Blaze and Roxy, and they've already it's kind of interesting that they're starting like we're making a Tronic, it's or not making a Tronic, making a here we go with the names, a Robotron. Here we're making a Robotron. Here we go. And there's the lovely prop, but now this gets into something we've talked about before about how believable is it going to be that this Robotron came from the thing they're morphing. And this is the old-fashioned steam train that honestly looks like it's like they're at a museum or something. It doesn't even look like something in use. They bust it in, and here's what we get. Comes out, and I think he's called Railtron, if I'm not mistaken. Does not look anything like that train. And
not even a little.
No. And also, previously, didn't the thing that got injected become the Robotron? Like, it wasn't like they injected tires, and then the tires were still there.
That's usually how it's been going. The one slight redeeming quality I had was the whole time I just see this
kept
like,
doing this.
Rangers,
he kept
Rangers. I'm gonna get all the more packs. But chugging along with the arms.
I like the chugging arms. He was a little bit more punny. Oh, that reminds me. Let me check chat real quick. Matt Kendall says, I have most of the legacy items except for the 95 movie Morphers. I didn't get those either. I thought about getting them, but when they didn't release all the colors, I figured, what's the point? Baha Bug's going to hang for a while. Cool. Well, thanks for hanging out, Baha Bug. And Dolly Girl looks like Harry Potter train. I agree. And
it actually does look like the Hogwarts Express.
It's that old-fashioned sort of style, which I have no problem with as long as the enemy looked like that. But at first I thought it didn't look anything like it, but the more I looked at it, it looks like a modern train, like the kind you take, nowadays, and it's silver and more boxy and stuff. So I'm like, that's weird. Could they not get access?
Very green.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I imagine that being like the logo of whatever train or whatever. That doesn't bother me, but they couldn't get access to just a modern silver I should say New Jersey Transit because I'm from New Jersey, but like Amtrak or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's just odd that they didn't do that.
What I will say, without spoiling too much of my thoughts on this episode, this was my least favorite episode by far.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
That's why whenever I shrug, it's more like a
who cares? It's all terrible. Kind of okay. All right. I'm having a Pez. Excuse me. Half price Pez candy. They call it Easter candy, but it still tastes like Pez. All right. So he reveals the plan immediately. We got these 3 data discs. We want you to get the info from the Beast Bots, and then we can control the Megazord. Actually, not a bad plan.
Yeah, reasonable.
And she gives her a little smarm face. I realized I was crunching in the microphone. Excuse me. And then we get our title, A Friend Indeed. Now, going into this, I hadn't seen any trailers or anything. Did you have any idea what it was going to be about?
I had seen a screenshot of the title and all 3 Beast bots, and I was like, this is the Beast bot episode.
Okay. I did not know that going in. Maybe that made me not have as much expectation. It is funny, though, that for those that watched the show last week, we literally talked about, hey, wouldn't it be cool to have an episode from the Beast bot's point of view, which isn't exactly what we got, but it definitely is like, this is the Beast bot episode we were just talking about.
Based on my initial thoughts and impressions, just based on the screenshot and the title I saw, I thought it was going to be a lot more formulaic and different, and it totally flipped it, and I like the Beast bots more.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but
I know where you're going with this.
So many other people, way worse.
I agree. Matt Kendall Clare says, was it just me or a little weird that they were using the voiceover morph for Roxy when she's a morph? I noticed that. I didn't realize. I thought it was just a glitch on the what I was watching my stream or something. But yeah, that definitely seemed like a mistake that it was her morphed voice.
Yeah, audio was off in this episode where good call. It didn't align, and I thought I was the only one, but thanks for bringing that up.
I also I thought it was just my TV or my whatever. There's another one later with one of the George, they call it the wrong attack, that a lot of people have pointed out, but we'll get to that later. Oh, also, by the way, up here, I'm an artist for those that don't know. This is a White Ranger headshot that I was working on. This is actually an older piece I did, but I didn't do a new one this week, so I'm just showing a video of that for MMPR White Ranger. That's what's going on above my head. Okay, so moving into the episode of Friend in Need, we start off with the training between Devin and Blue, and not Ravi, thank you. Not terrible, but I've gotten used to a pretty high level of fights, and it was I feel like not that I'm a martial artist, but given a half hour to prepare, I could have maybe done this,
Yeah, it was a little lackluster for me too. My expectations, I think, are a bit higher than yours for it, but also I was kind of
it usually and they're training, so I guess that's fair, but usually it's wow, look at what they're doing, and this time it was oh, this is pretend fighting for the TV show. The fact that it's training, I'll let it go, but it was just noticeable. Baja Bug says Power Rangers is on Nick now. Yeah, Power Rangers has been on Nick for a few years. Back after RPM when it was on Disney, which I'm saying was that 6-7 years ago now, something like that. And then Saban bought it back from Disney and then put it on Nick. They redid Mighty Morphin the first season with some new graphics, and then they did Samurai, Super Samurai, Megaforce, Super Megaforce, Dino Charge, Super Dino, Dino Supercharge, Ninja Steel, Super Ninja Steel, and now they are on Beast Morphers. And that was called the Neo Saban era up until this, because it was the second time Saban owned it. It's generally not as well liked as some of the other stuff, although I would argue there's still good stuff in there. And now Hasbro owns it, just bought it from Saban. This is the first season where Hasbro is taking over from Saban. But throughout all the ones I just said, it's been on Nick, usually Saturday early in the morning. Yep. And then Matt is just confirming that. Watch It Back when it was a Fox film. Yeah, well, a lot of people thought when it left Fox it was off the air, but Power Rangers has never been off the air except for arguably 1 year when they were rerunning the first season. It just went to Disney, and I thought that was it when it was on Disney, and then years later I was like, wait, what? I saw an episode on ABC or something, it's still going, Yeah. So, and I think that happened with a lot of people, but yeah, no, it's been back on Nick and it's been more accessible. And this season, a lot of people are saying, is kind of the rejuvenation of it. Like a lot of people are getting back on the bandwagon now. Fell off after Mystic Force. Oh, so you actually knew when it was on. That was when it was on Disney, wasn't it? Or I guess it was rebroadcast on Fox Family.
So what happened? Fox Family came out, and that was around the time that Wild Force had done the shift of going from Fox to Disney. So then Fox Family rebranded to ABC Family, and it had a subsection for Saturday morning or weekend stuff called JetX. And from there, it had Ninja Storm all the way up until I want to say. I fell off around the same time as Baja Bug, so could have gone to RPM, but I honestly don't know.
That's a shame because I feel like that's RPM and Jungle Fury. If people miss those, and those are two of the best seasons in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Well, regardless, yeah. So it's been on Nick for a while. So they're having the training session. They get done, and Smash is like, "Hey, Ravi, I've got you this blue drink because you're the Blue Ranger," and he's all like, because once again. Defender needed a reason to hate him more.
The whole, this point forward, I was just like, why? You guys are literally just teeing it up.
Yeah.
Teeing it up for me to hit where I'm like, you're just a jerk. There's no explanation other than you're a jerk. And then what happens? Red Ranger goes, "Oh wow, thanks. I will enjoy this drink, even though it doesn't match the color Ranger I am, because you're a kind Beastbot. Thank
No,
you."
but here's the thing. I was with you for a second, but like last week they made Red Ranger a jerk, and I made the joke of they couldn't make you like Blue Ranger more, so they made you like Red Ranger less. This episode, I feel like they made you like all the Rangers less, like, and because
Oh, continue. Sorry.
well, because you're right. Right here, he's like, "Oh, buddy, I'll take it." But then a second later, his Beastbot Cruz comes in. He's like, "Hey, I got your drink." And he's like, "Too late. Hey, did you take that shortcut I told you?" And he's like, no." And he's like, "Whatever, dude." Like he's literally like, so yeah, he was nice for a second, but he's still being a jerk.
No, I know. So I liked all the Rangers less this episode. The one that I liked the most, though, was the Yellow Ranger. Simply because I feel like she understood her jerkiness much faster. And everybody else was like, "Oh, until I have physical bodily harm, I don't really understand the error of my ways."
As evidenced from before the show even started, I've always said the Yellow Ranger was the best, and I stand by that. What's funny, though, is theoretically, I like Cruz as the best Beastbot. Like, I like his design. I like the voice actor. I like Cheetah's. Like he should be my favorite on paper. But I'm starting to like Jax the best because he's pretty awesome.
He's the greatest.
He's pretty awesome.
I loved him this episode.
Yeah. Oh, he really shines. So then he's like, so Smash. People are just talking about different seasons and stuff in chat. And then so Smash is like, "Okay, well, I don't know why I keep doing his voice."
I'm not gonna lie, you're really good at the Beastbot.
Apparently, I'm a Beastbot voice actor. But he's like, "Okay, let's spar then," because he just wants to help him out, and Ravi kind of reluctantly agrees, and then he's like, "Here comes a punch," and that actually looks like he gets him pretty good. But he's unhappy because, he's unhappy because he didn't punch him as hard as he could. And like you have much more martial arts experience than I do. I've taken a few classes, and usually it's like, did I touch you? Did I get through the defense? Did I, it's not about hurting the other person. It's about let me, prove my technique and see where you're weak. So Smash was doing it exactly right, and Ravi's like, "No, you should have hit me harder," and then gets mad that his shirt is dirty. Which I watched it with Airzuki, and we're both like, it's a workout shirt. You're sweating. Why are you so worried about it?
No words. No, this is going to be the shrug episode. It's just going to be Bigdawg doing this because I can't defend. Okay. I am the defender, and I can't defend.
Oh man, okay. Well, so he's like, "Oh, sorry, it came off of my fist. I can't stop myself." And I love though that he's like, "Oh, I must have got it while I was eating lunch or something." And Ravi's all like, "You don't eat food," and he's like, "Oh yeah." It's like...
the one thing I liked is he had the drink to give him, and then after that, it's like, "Still only have fists." Can't really, use them for anything. Just grabbing stuff with.
How was it in his hand? Actually, let me go back. I didn't even think of that, but
I think they just taped half a bottle on top.
Wait, do I have it? Oh, I think you're right. No, it looks like the fingers are open a little bit. No, you're right. They just behind the scenes they just taped half a bottle. You're absolutely right.
Yep. I agree with Airzuki in this episode, bots over humans.
Oh, I agree too. And then they even have him like, "Oh," because he's like, "You want to keep training?" He's like, "No, I don't have time." He's like, "Well, all right."
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, "Oh, I'd love to train." "Oh, I gotta go." "Okay, do you want to train?" "No, I'm too busy."
Yeah, he's switching his story up. Instead of going like, "Oh, I'm not happy with the way this training's going," like he's just like doesn't even express his feelings properly. Whatever. So let me come in and he's working on. Oh my gosh, what's his name again? The scientist is Silva, but what's his first name? Nate Silva. So Nate's working on their guns, and he's putting in a hologram projector, which is kind of cool and a little bit foreshadowing. And so she comes in, and she's like, "Oh, here's my bag of office supplies," and he's like, "Oh, don't open that." And then, of course, she does, and she's like, "Oh my God, what the heck? There's like party hats in here." That's not what she sounds like.
Not even a little bit. That's okay.
No. But she's like, "Why are there party hats and plates? This is supposed to be office supplies. This is ridiculous." And Jack's thinking fast on his feet, like, "Oh, they must have got the wrong bag. There, you can't get good help." And then Ben and Betty come in with their face acting, and what I like though,
every episode I like them more.
Oh yeah, they're great. Look at her face.
Yeah, face acting was on point with them.
And again, though, Jax quickly thinking, they realized, spoilers, there's going to be a party later, and she's discovering this surprise party. And so he was covering, and they come in there, and they know, oh my gosh, she's ruining this surprise. But he's like, hey guys, she found out they made a mistake, right? I was like, oh, good thinking, bud. He's just heading it off at the pass, and then, I don't remember what is going on here, but it looks like he just punched her in the face. Like,
I think I don't remember. One side tangent really quick.
Yeah.
The one thing that I found funny about this scene is that he just kind of made up this story that kind of has a decent amount of holes, and she's like, yep, seems reasonable. Looks like you guys totally do. I actually had something like this with my girlfriend a couple years ago around Christmas, where I wanted to surprise her with a necklace that I had to go like an hour away to get. Right. And I kind of hid the trip by saying, oh, I'm going to get something for my mom. Like, I'm just going to go to this store about an hour away and get it. It was the worst rain of that entire year. It took me 2 hours to get there, and it was awful. And I got there, and she calls me like, so did they have it? Oh, no, they didn't have it. I have to go to this other place. And she just yelled at me on the phone, like, why didn't you call? Why didn't you do this? Oh, my gosh. I'm like, and I literally just said verbatim, yep, you're right. I'm dumb. I should have called. And she just totally bought it. And then on Christmas, she was just like, oh, God. Which also foreshadowing is kind of like what the Rangers look like.
I understand why you told that story, and it is very relevant. Does she watch this show? Because she might not really. Because you didn't make her look great in that story.
Oh no, she's great, and I love her. And if she sees it, then that'll be a fun little Easter egg now.
Okay. Yeah, Matt is saying that Ben is tripping over something, and you're right. I guess what's weird is he's just starting the trip, and so she's seen it before him, and then. Yeah, I didn't capture it, but they knocked over a bunch of stuff. But what's great is because of their personality, going with your saying they believe Jax's story, they're just like, oh, blah, 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 because they're supposed to be nervous, but they're always knocking stuff over. So like, oh, look, it's them. They do that,
Yeah. Just everything was believable. Like, yep, they were wrong. Oh, well.
Yeah. So they come in
late again. Oh, shucks.
Right, and she's complaining about Jax, and they're all commiserating about how terrible it is to have best friends that are robots, which is ridiculous. And so Nate comes over. I don't remember what he's saying here. What is he saying here?
I think he's just explaining the.
Oh, we've got to do training. Take your gun, the Beast Blasters, and go outside because I want to show you something. Something I want to point out, though. She gave Jax the bag of stuff back, ostensibly to bring back to the store and switch for the correct stuff. Mm-hmm. She's still wearing the party hat. She's literally putting it on her head. She's like, "This isn't our stuff. Bring it back." But I'm keeping this. This is a little fee,
of course.
Little Yellow Ranger fee. The store doesn't need this one back. You're like, okay, I don't know about that, but
sure.
Production side, I want to point out every time they were walking in and out of the door, there were extras in the background moving around doing stuff, which made it look like a busy thing. And like a lot of shows will cut corners and not have that, so I thought that was cool. And I had noticed it. And then when they're on their way out, not only are there extras walking by, but there's somebody cleaning up the mess. Like that took a lot of thought of like, and they weren't there the whole time. Just like the door opens, I was like, yeah, I got to pick this up. Like I don't know, like little detail like that. And it wasn't through the whole scene. Just when the door opened, you saw somebody was handling the mess, and I thought that was cool.
Oh, I just keep looking at Ravi's.
All right, moving on.
This episode.
So they grab the blasters to go outside to see what Nate wants to show them. Oh, I must have missed it. So they go outside, and like, where is he? And immediately there's this wall of boxes for some reason, and a truck is blasting through it at them.
Oh yeah, that part was cool.
And
I liked that.
Yeah, me too. And they're like, whoa! And I like the reaction on them. They're like, just shoot it, whatever it is. Like, and
it's coming toward us.
Yeah. And so they start blasting it. But then it goes right through them like a ghost. I do wonder, though. I mean, it's obviously a hologram and it didn't hurt them. But shouldn't they have dove out of the way? Like,
or not only that, but like if they're shooting through it, I mean, this hologram apparently can absorb it. But just shooting, assuming it went through, like, oh, what are you guys really blasting behind there?
Yeah, I thought that too. Maybe that's why there was
Daddy in the park, like.
I mean, maybe that's why the boxes were there, but it does seem a little reckless. But yeah, but obviously it was all to prove the point. And here comes Nate, and he pulls it back into his gun. It was just a hologram, and they're like, "What? That was super dangerous to have us do that." Why they don't say that, but that's what they should have said. And then
this is a very weird pull, but it reminded me of Patches O'Houlihan from Dodgeball. Just a really severe training exercise.
Oh yeah,
like, I'm aware.
I mean, at a quick glance, it wasn't that big a deal. But the more you think about it, yeah, those stray shots could have gone
You're
anywhere.
like,
And like,
okay, sure.
but he's
Or
very
like, oh yeah, there's a car coming at you. Why didn't you move?
that's the thing that gets me the most is they shot at it, which is okay. But then when it didn't stop, yeah, if it was a real car, they all would have been hit by the car, and they weren't morphed even. So, so Silva's like, oh, it's a new holographic thing. I put it in all your blasters. And I'm like, cool. And then here come the Beast Bots. They're like, you were jerks to us, but we've since forgiven you, and we want to like come hang out and take a break. And they're all like, no. And then Ravi, of course, is the worst. They're all kind of like, no. And then Smash is like, come on, not even for 5 minutes. And he's like, Smash, we're learning about this. It's like really important, okay? And yeah, Bigdawg hates him more than ever before.
They're not helping their case. I've said time and time again, make me like him. I will happily like him. I've defended him this many times before. But when you do stuff like this, I'm like, you really just don't want me to like him.
And it does reinforce, like, all of the Rangers are being jerks to the Beast Bots. But it reinforces that Ravi's being the worst, and Zoe's being the best, and Devin's in the middle. And that's sort of like the level at which we're seeming to like the characters.
Yeah,
so.
it's exactly where it's at, where she is clearly the best now.
Right.
Because even when they try to make her a jerk, she's only like kind of a jerk.
Right. She's realistic.
She's partially rude.
Right. Yeah. Well, so anyway, they come under attack immediately, and it's funny because last episode we were saying there were no Tronics, and then here comes a horde of like 15 or however many blasting in, and they start fighting in civilian mode automatically. And this fight was good, unlike the little training fight. They did a good job as usual. She's doing her kicks, and then we got Devin up top. He likes to go up. You notice that this is not the first time he's sort of taken the high ground in his fighting style.
One thing that bugged me about this scene is the gross continuity error of, hey, we just did this training with our blasters that have this new capability. Let me grab a broom.
Well, but the new capability is holographic deception. How would that work when they're all...
used their blasters on a fake car.
Oh, you're saying why wouldn't they use their blasters?
They literally, they jump to the scene. Zoe has nothing. He has a broom, and Ravi's just kind of being useless in the corner.
That's true. I thought you meant about the hologram. So let's see. So here we are. They all have guns in their hands. Here come the Tronics. Now they have no guns. Yeah. Oh, that is bad. I didn't even think about that. Well, see, the fighting was good enough that it tricked me, but you're right.
No, that was the first thing. I was thinking like, oh, there's 15 of them. Good thing this isn't a car that's made up. Just boom.
You're right. Okay, so continuity there was bad, but continuity with Devin's fighting style is good because we've seen him pick up like brooms and things before. But more importantly, the high ground sort of thing, which I like that. And again, their fighting styles all sort of match. You see Ravi using his strength more, and he's picking up a bucket and hitting people with it, which again we've seen him do before. So I do think. The inconsistency with the guns, you win that. But the fighting consistency, once again. And he was the one that did the kind of parkour off the wall in the last episode, too. So they're establishing, and maybe, I don't know if that's supposed to be because of Gorilla. I don't know if they're thinking about that much. But consistent fighting styles, which, and usually I don't comment on that because the fighting styles are all kind of the same. But since they gave them unique fighting styles and they've kept it up, I don't know. I'm not a martial artist, but I appreciate that.
For those that are watching this playback on YouTube, if you tally all of my shrugs this episode, it'll make me laugh tremendously in the comments when I read it later. I think that's 3, but I'm probably already lost count.
Matt Kendall Clare, Defender does have a point about the blaster, so I agree with him. I mean, I do. It's indisputable that he is correct. And so then...
like the Mario theory.
Anyway, moving on. So for whatever reason, they decide now... It's time to attack. Wait, is one of those Tronics holding a broom in the back? What is that? Do you see that? Oh, no, that's a light post. It's a light post.
Yeah.
Okay. So they decide it's morphin' time, and we get a new angle of this, and then they're morphed up. I didn't bother putting the morph sequence because we've seen it so many times. So now they start fighting again. This time they're using their powers a little bit. Like he charges in. I don't know if he literally uses speed, but he charges up to him. And then once again up on top, using the broom. So I'm betting that there was Sentai footage with this fight, so they had to establish it or wanted to establish it. But I like the consistency. I don't know why as a ranger he still needs to use the broom, but whatever, Apparently when you're a ranger and you hold a broom, it does more damage because you see how it's like shooting sparks out of them, which you'd normally get, not.
No, your inanimate object is now tied to the morphin grid.
Yeah.
It has morphin capabilities.
I think they've actually not said that, but pretty much established it through action in this series.
There's 5.
What's that?
I said there 6.
All right, so she's shooting. She's actually using her gun, which should make you happy. And then we see the Beast Bots are hiding. Cruz is like, oh no, what's going on? And then behind Cruz, we see Railtron, and he's about to enact his nefarious plan. And he like sucks the information out of his head. And the way they do it, you kind of know it's going to be more than just information. You know, it's like they're hurting him in some more significant way, obviously. Let me see, check chat. Okay, Matt Kendall just agreeing with you still. And then we see Smash, and the same thing happens to him. And he gets like both of them get taken out super fast.
Yeah.
And Aka Red, thank you for the follow. Welcome back. And so what I like is he holds up the discs and they have the colors, so you can see. Oh, he still needs yellow.
Yep.
And then he's like, one more to go. And here we go again. Jack's watching what's going on. We cut to him, and then commercial. It's the intro song and all that stuff. We come back. But what we didn't know is that the Yellow Ranger saw what was going on, saves Jax, because once again, the Yellow Ranger is the best and paying attention to her Beastbot buddy, which is alliteration. And she stops him, then uses her gun to take out 7 Tronics in one spread, like one arc AoE attack, completely defeated. Which is awesome.
Easily done that pre-morph.
It's awesome. It makes her look like a badass, but you're right. If they hadn't put their guns away early on, that this would have been over immediately.
Yeah, from very far away, like, oh, I wonder if there's more danger.
But
good thing we got rid of that before it became a problem.
Yeah, that does make Railtron and Blaze comes in to check on him, and he's like, yeah, we've only got 2. And Blaze's like, that's good enough. Let's get out of here. Whoop. Yeah. So the Rangers demorph, and they notice that something's wrong. And Nate comes over too, and they notice that other than Jax, the Beast Bots are out of commission seemingly. But then they wake up. But when they wake up, they literally, I think, say reboot. And so it's like they're not destroyed, but it's like rebooting a computer where they have like a fresh Windows installation. They have no personality, and they have to hold their arms like this, which they previously didn't. Like
this made me so frustrated.
Okay, why?
Red and blue.
Oh, not this moment, but where it goes from here.
Like this onward of like. The easiest way I can equate it is that Ravi is like peer pressuring Devin into being a bad person.
So even when Devin's being a jerk, you're still blaming.
No, like they're both jerks. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, you have to take responsibility for your actions. But like Devin is kind of in the middle where like, let's say if Zoe said something, he'd be like, yeah, I agree with that. That's good. And Ravi's like, oh, like, you know, our Beast Bots have no memories. He's like, oh yeah, literally angel devil.
You might be right about that, actually.
Oh,
so really, Devin should be the Green Ranger since he's mixed with the 2 of them.
He should be more of like, I don't know. I wouldn't say he'd be a 6 or yeah.
No, I just meant the color green because their colors yellow and blue together make green.
Yeah,
it's a dumb joke. So Smash, they find him. He's in the same state. He wakes up, but he's been rebooted. And then Nate's like, I checked him out. Railtron stole not just their memory, but like all their personalities. They don't remember knowing you, becoming friends with you, or anything. So all they know is that they're robots programmed to serve you. And then, of course, the reaction, as you were saying, is like, "Hey, that's not so bad. We just wanted people to do as what we said and be slaves, not friends." And Devin says, "Okay, Ravi."
Seriously, this was so annoying.
Here's the thing. They're not being good people. I do think you're overstating a little bit how much Ravi is a bad influence, because right here you see Devin like, yeah, buddy.
No, they're both terrible right now. Yeah. I'm so ashamed of both of them.
and rightfully so. Like, especially because, you know, whatever you think of like AI or robots like in the real world, in this world, they're definitely presented as like living sentient beings and friends. Yeah. And so it's not like, oh, I had to wipe my computer. Oh, well, it's a lot easier to use now. It's like, oh, I wiped the personality out of my friend who was a little annoying. Yeah. Like he's so much more useful as a mindless slave.
I will say, I'll slightly change my statement because the arm over the shoulder of him, like, no, dude, this is great. Nah, terrible. Not even the bad influence.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I like Devin, but you can't blame Ravi. They were both being jerks.
Just the worst.
And then Roxy comes in, and Nate is the best because he's like, what's with these guys? I would love to have a robot best friend, which is what people in the real world would say, you know.
Anyone would say.
Yes, and she's like, oh, it'd be like a brother, and we've established he has family issues and things like that. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, well, you know, sometimes brothers get on your nerves too, which is a fair point. Yes. But they're not saying, hey, they're getting on my nerves, I need a break. They're saying, I'm glad their minds have been wiped, which is far beyond being annoyed at your brother.
See, like this one, she's being like, the slightest bit jerky.
Yeah, but again,
still good.
Reasonable. So now Cruz is all mind wiped, and we cut to him. Cruz could turn into a motorcycle for those that don't know. And so Devin's riding him, and earlier they were like talking about a shortcut that Cruz didn't take, and he's like, let's take that shortcut. This scene is weird to me for a couple of reasons.
Very weird.
Cruz is sentient, and he could turn into a motorcycle. He could drive himself.
Mm-hmm.
Devin can drive him as a motorcycle. And I guess I feel like either Devin's driving or Cruz is in control. Cruise control. This scene makes it unclear who's driving, because it looks like Devin's driving, but then he said, hey, let's take that shortcut, and they cut through some trees, and then Devin, I do think this is kind of funny, when he's getting smashed in the face with all the trees, and he's like, whoa, and then they splash into a big mud puddle, he's like, blah, and he's all mad, and he's like, Cruz, what are you doing? What, are you trying to kill me? Making it seem like he said, Cruz, go through the shortcut, and just held on while Cruz did all the driving. And Cruz, not accounting for his driver's safety or whatever, just followed the path he was told to follow, and which is supposedly what they wanted. I get the point they're going for. But couldn't Devin have just been like, whoa, let's watch out for the puddle? Like, if you in cruise control in a regular car, you could take over, you know what I mean? Like, so it just seemed weird that I didn't understand.
I equated this to, in normal circumstances outside of this episode, Cruz can drive himself, but when Devin's there, he's like, oh, cool, I trust you. You can drive, and I'll just kind of do the heavy lifting. And for this, Devin said an action, and he executed the action until told not to.
Fair enough, but once they were in the middle of the bad action, wouldn't he have said stop or let me take control or something like that?
But he didn't. He was just like, whoa, what are you doing? He's like, that's not a command to not do it. He's so, like, cut and dry that's what I equated it to, of, like, until you say a direct affirmative
and I guess he's used to Cruz having a mind of his own and not being so literal, and he trusts him.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. Matt, did I just say – I may have said Roxy instead of Zoe. I apologize. They're both yellow. They're both the good people on their respective teams. So
they're the best on both teams that they reside on.
Yeah. So now here comes Smash, and Smash similarly is a mindless automaton now. And I feel like this is your favorite scene of the entire show so far.
Oh, it was so good. Oh, I loved it. I saw where this was going. I was like, I really wish he launched him across the room.
Ravi says, okay, let's train. Hit me as hard as you can. Don't worry about hurting me. Don't wait until I'm ready. Treat it like a real fight. And Smash immediately punches him in the gut as hard as he can and slams him across the room. Just like, you got it. Boom. And and as much I'm not as much of a Ravi hater as the Bigdawg, but I laughed when that happened because it was so
good.
Yeah,
it was just like, the thing is, if he kind of like what we were just saying, if he said, "Hey, treat this like a real fight and let's spar," and kind of leave some stuff ambiguous, that's fine. He found every corner case and was like, hit me like it's real. Don't stop no matter what we do.
Yeah.
This has to be as realistic as possible and give me all of the power you could possibly muster. It's like, why'd you hit me so hard?
Right, yeah. Because with Cruz, going back to Devin, be a little bit more understanding, even though because Cruz, he's like, why'd you do that? And Cruz is like, you told me to. And he's like, I did tell you to. Whereas he's like, why'd you do that? And he's like, you told me to. And he's like, I didn't mean it. Because like, I'm supposed to read your mind. And that, so that was he pretty much deserved that. So that was fine.
Oh, I wish he hit him like on both sides.
Come on, now that's excessive.
Well, no, because the other thing too, if you look at the flip side of it, he's like, don't stop and treat it like a fight.
Well, but he's like, I've won. Yeah, Smash is like, I've won. I've defeated you. So anyway, now we cut back to Jax, who still has his personality, and he just came out of a door, and she's looking for, they don't call it an iPad, I think they call it a tablet. But like, and she's like, have you seen it? And he's like, I set it to charge in the other room. And I love this little bit of comedy here, though, where she's like, it wasn't there. Maybe it's in this room. And he's like, I don't think it's in this room. Oh, oops. And then they're pointing at the lock, and she's like, you just came from this room. He's like, yeah. She's like, do you know the code? He's like, no. And she's like, you don't know the code to the room you just came out of. He's like, but I love it. It was great. It was such a good piece of comedy, and like, you know exactly what he's thinking. Like, I don't have a good thing to say, but I can't say because the party's in there. So that was a fun scene, which immediately gets bad because they're like complaining about, hey, they did what we said and we got hurt, and Nate's all like, yeah, because you're idiots, and I don't feel bad for you at all.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, Nate definitely got some points on this one. And then she's like, yeah, I was just talking to Jackson. He said it's in here, and I don't know what the deal. Sometimes I wish I didn't have a Beast bot. And they're like, oh, and she's like, he's standing right behind me, isn't he? And there he is. And Yeah.
You know what added insult to injury even more for you, especially in this scene,
What?
is that Devin is peak jerk in your favorite T-shirt that they brought back.
I know. I do love that T-shirt. Yeah. He might have been argued. You think he was worse this episode than last episode? Because last episode he was pretty bad too.
Last episode he was only kind of a jerk to Ravi mostly. This episode,
so you didn't. So that's why you didn't care, because you're like, it was only to Ravi.
Well, no, this one he's a jerk. He's commiserating about being a jerk with Ravi, and he's bad to Cruz, and he, by extension, has said, you know what's even better than Cruz having his mind wiped? Smash having his mind wiped. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, peak
Yeah.
jerk.
Okay, I guess you're right. A peak shirt. But yeah, and I do love that shirt. So that is insult to injury. So.
Yeah.
Now, Zoe's being kind of a jerk, even if he didn't leave the pad there. Even if he just made a mistake, she's being a jerk. And then he comes in, they do a good job making him look sad. Not just the ears, but the little eye gauge things.
Yeah.
And he's like, and what makes him even more likable is he's not like, what do you mean? It's right here, stupid. He's like, hey.
It's literally right here.
But he says it's sad. He's not like angry. He's like, I told you I did a good job. You know, like, I try to be the best bunny I could be. Like, it's so sad.
Yeah.
And it's her fault. She put her jacket over it.
Yeah, that was the best part. It wasn't that you missed it. It's that you are the reason you missed it.
Yes. And then she's like, oh, I'm the worst person in the world, and I deserve.
Except for Ravi, like, definitely.
But because she has more empathy. She feels worse than they do, even though she wasn't as bad.
Correct. I agree with that. She feels worse, but is definitely edged out by blue and red as the worst. She's still in third place.
So he comes over. He hands it right to her, like, because I know you're an idiot, and if I don't hand it to you, you're not going to find it. And then he goes away, and she's like, wait, come back. She runs after him. They run after her. They all get to this room that he didn't have the lock combination for, and oh boy, they're even bigger jerks than we thought.
The world's saddest surprise party.
The world's saddest surprise party. Oh, it was so terrible. Jackie's reaction, the actress, she did a great job with that. Like, and it's a surprise party that the 3 Beast Bots were going to throw for them. 2 of them don't even remember planning it, and Jax is upset, and it's just like, oh, everybody here that is a human is a jerk.
Yeah, and then he has to explain, oh yeah, the frosting from that cake right there is what got on your workout shirt, you jerk.
And Smash felt terrible about it, and Cruz was sorry he was late because he was helping me, and
except they have no idea because you're happy their minds are like,
it's pretty terrible. But she immediately is like, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible person. I'm so sorry. Let me get down on your level, which I like that she gets down on his level, you know, like talking to a kid. And they're like, we're terrible people. And Nate's like, yeah, I've been saying that all along. And so they're like, we got to figure out a way to get their minds back. And then they realize that the whole plan that Scrozzle, well, it wasn't Scrozzle, it was Blaze, wanted the data disk so they can control the Megazord, and they needed Jax for the 3rd piece. And they're like, well, what are we going to do? We got to protect him. And Jax is like, no, I got to be bait. And they're like, no. He's like, I'm the best ever. Use me to save everyone. And they're like, oh, boy, we are so terrible compared to you.
Yep, pretty much.
One thing I wondered, though, is they need all 3 discs to take over the Megazord. But the implication is that with each BeastBot's disc, they could take over their Zord. So why didn't they take over blue and red?
I thought the same thing, where they should have had the red Zord in battle mode and just started wreaking havoc everywhere.
And then maybe for a while, Yellow has to come in and fight the good guy Zords, and like that would have been awesome. Yep. Yeah.
And then it would have solidified how terrible red and blue have been this episode.
I attribute that to Sentai footage. Like maybe they didn't have that, but that would have been cool. So they cut to this shot, which reminds me of the original Star Wars movie when R2-D2 was going in Tatooine and the Jawas are watching him. I don't know why, but just this lonely little cute bot going into like a dangerous area.
Sliding around, looking like, oh no, hope I don't get caught.
Yeah, exactly. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And then
from this day forward, I'm only gonna think of R2's internal monologue as Jax's voice.
Oh, so when C-3PO's like, "Oh no, what are we going to do?" And he's like, "Beep boop beep boop." He's gonna be like, "I don't know, you idiot! I'm always saving everybody. You fall over.
I was going to Tatooine. What happened in Naboo?
You don't even know Darth Vader built you. Shut up."
And then our C-3PO is gonna be Smash now.
But
actually, no, not C-3PO. I was thinking the droid that looks like him from Dr. Aphra, but I forget the name of it.
Oh, the black evil one? Yeah, I don't know his name. I would think
Anyways.
C-3PO would be Cruz, because Cruz is kind of dopey.
Yeah,
C-3PO is kind of dopey, and he does this a lot. Let's see. Matt Kendall says, would have been cool to see the chopper fight the wheelers. Yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. The chopper maybe being outmatched with, but like, you know, trying to hold their own. So we see Railtron in the back, like a Jawa. He hops out, Utiri, and he is about to fire. And Jax like does some great acting. I forget what he says, but it's something along the lines like, "Oh no, please don't wipe my memory." Like, it was great.
It's the best.
And then we cut to commercial, boom, and then we come back, and he holds up the discs. I don't know why they're not colored anymore, like, because I was just saying how I like that they were colored, but I also don't know why he's like, "I'm gonna get your memory." Also, look, I have these memories. I mean, it's just some bravado, I guess, but really it's so that when they attack, they'll get them back. So it's weird. When I watched this the first time, I totally didn't realize they used the holograms to make these boxes. Like the payoff from earlier, and that's how they were hidden. Because I guess I must have looked down or something for a second. When I went back to – I always watch them 2 times, and when I went the second time to get the screenshots, I was like, oh, there's the hologram. Because the first time around, I'm like, they never did anything with those holograms. Yes, they did. That was the whole plan here. Because she comes out, and he drops them, which would have scratched them, by the way. And then they pop out of their holograms, and then they start attacking. So that did pay off, and I like that. And then and again, the fight's over like almost immediately. They get them the discs and take these. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I chalked a lot of things that I would have liked to go a different way to the Sentai footage, because so far the way the villains have been operating, the second they get something like resourceful, they immediately use it.
Yeah, that's true. So I agree with Sentai footage. Yeah.
I mean, you got to roll with it. Shrug number 7. But
I also feel like the fights in general, the villain fights and the Zord fight stuff, are kind of short and quick. And I think that's because they spent time on the Beastbot storyline, and so whatever the actual fight in the Sentai was, they're like, well, just it's over. We gotta just have it go, which didn't bother me, but it's just interesting. And especially I noticed it here because he's like, all right, I like this shot for some reason. That's composed well. And he's like, you want to fight? Check me out. And he's like, boo, and he powers up these crazy weapons. And you're like, oh man, what's he gonna do now? 1 second later, gets kicked, doesn't get to use them. 2 seconds later, Ravi, with a really awesome move, picks him up and does like, I don't know if you call it a suplex or DDP. It's a wrestling move.
Oh, I think it was a suplex, yeah.
Yeah, and he just blasts him down, which again is sort of like that rough tumble kind of strength thing. And then here she comes running in, Zoe, and gives him a crazy high flying attack. But so basically what I'm saying is he pulls out these crazy arm fighters, never once uses them. He just gets, and maybe there were some scenes that were filmed but cut for Sentai. Yeah. And so they knock him down. So wisely, though, he goes into a range attack since he was getting his butt kicked with these weird like things he creates in the sky. But again, completely ineffective. They pull out their guns, remembering they have guns this time, shoot them all up, and then this whole fight goes so quick, and he's so not a threat. But I love this finishing part because they all kind of punch him, surround him, hit him with their slash. He's done for, and then like. And he even says like, I'm done for. This train is leaving. He did a lot of puns on this one. Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say before. Somebody in one of the YouTube chats, I can't remember who said it, but in a YouTube comment from last week, I apologize for not remembering your name, said something about if you see a lot of puns for the villains, it's written by these certain writers, which I also don't remember. I would have looked this up, but I forgot until just now. And they were saying that these certain writers like putting a lot of puns in the enemy's, dialogue. And this enemy had a lot of puns, so I was wondering if they wrote it. So if you are the one that made that comment, maybe you can confirm or deny if this follows your theory. Let's see. Dolly Girl said the yellow boots look like rain boots. Yeah, when it's just a shot like that, I agree. They do look like rain boots. Baha Bug. Already, I'm off. Happy streaming. Going to go check this year's out. Awesome, Baha. Thanks for checking it out. Baha's got his own Twitch stream you guys could check out as well. And yeah, it's on Nick, but it's on the Nick app. You could catch up that way too. So he's like, I'm done for, and whatever pun he said. Then they all come in and kick in like a circle or a triangle. They all, because there's 3 of them, they come from different sides. And then I'll do like flips off of him, which I'm not sure if they did a composite where there was some kind of training beam or like how they did that. Because even with wire work, like I'm not complaining. It's just, oh, you're giving a shrug? You don't like this?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. I just thought it was unnecessary in terms of the fight. But I thought it was a really cool flourishy ending that was just fun. And then he finally actually explodes. Now, and this is another thing. They're not all on one side. They're all like in a circle around him, which is another weird ending configuration. Still looking at it. I have not looked it up, but I really want Go Busters, the Sentai this is based on, to have decided like they look at explosions because they have sunglasses and can. I don't know if it's been said by anybody but me, but I feel like it makes so much sense, and I want it to be true
Yeah.
because they keep looking at explosions and they have sunglasses, so it makes sense. Let's see. Matt Kendall Clare says Matt Larkin MHC was the one who said it on YouTube, and it was Chip. It was Chip that was credited. Oh, it's Chip Lind. Okay, so
Yeah.
it was still a good point, and I guess Chip likes a couple puns too. Maybe it would have been even more punny if it wasn't Chip. Which is a shame because I always think of Chip Lynn as being a good creative force behind it, but he created your least favorite episode this season. Although I will say, least favorite episode this season is still better than most episodes we've seen in a while. Other seasons?
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's like maybe 2-3 tops episodes of Ninja Steel that I liked better than this episode, and one of those was the anniversary episode.
Right, the dimensions and danger.
Not counting whatsoever.
Right. Agreed. All right, so now we go to the Shroud of Evil side dimension of evil and Cyber. And here we see Scrozzle.
Cyber dimension of evil doings.
Now, Scrozzle's working on I took a note here, the Giga drones, but he says this is an alpha model. Now, I know he said gamma and beta. I don't remember if we've seen alpha before. We may have early on. I just can't remember.
So what I took away from this, and I'm waiting for Matt Kendall Clare to give their take as well. But what I took it as is because it's an alpha, it leads other drones that are lower models,
which gets into the next part. But
exactly.
If that's only works if we haven't seen an alpha before, and I don't remember if we have. And he says we have, so your theory is gone. So basically, it seems like the alpha, beta, gamma, that's sort of the base model, and then they enhance it with whatever the monster of the week's attributes, and then it becomes that. And so they bring him out, and once again. A cool entrance where they show up, and they slam down, and we see him, and he's got the rail. They call him rail drone because he's taking on the rail attributes, and he's got the chugga chugga chews. But what's this? Here come two more, which they call Gigatronics because they're like tronics, but they're large Gigatronics. Which I
thought that was cool.
I like that too. I don't know if that's going to be an ongoing thing or if it's just because he's a train and that's part of his ability. But it was cool to see that. And then, meanwhile, back at base, the Beast Bots are getting their personalities back. And lucky for them, they don't remember anything. They don't remember the Rangers saying that they're happier with them as mindless slaves or anything. And so they all just charge off, ready to go into battle. I found this interesting. The Racer Zord was already in battle mode. We usually don't see that. It usually drives out as a car and then transforms. Now, I could understand them cutting the transformation for time and just seeing the robot, but he's in the hangar as a robot. So that means there's an extra hangar for him as a robot.
The way I equated this is similar to last episode where they had the enemy robot in there. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that the Racer Zord was in there to be worked on,
right?
Because they wanted to work on the battle mode some more for Megan. There's some reason where it was allowed, and I wasn't bothered by it.
It's not like a continuity error or a problem of any kind. I just noted it as like that's not how it's usually there. By the way, I see a few people lurking. I'm not going to call you out in case you want to just keep lurking, but I appreciate the lurks. And if you want to, throw out any questions, we take questions as well. Feel free to chime in. There's not a lot of protocol here. It's very casual.
Yep.
So here he comes in his battle mode. And then Smash, he's like, let's turn into gorilla mode. I thought you'd never ask. And then this is the part I didn't notice. Oh, wait, did I miss that shot? Oh, no, here it is. Okay, so he transforms into gorilla mode. These guys are doing their chugga chugga, and he starts firing. And somebody online somewhere mentioned that it's the line he says is something like full rocket spread or something like that, which is not what this attack is. And I think that's what Devin does. And that's what he was. And I think the reason I know it's not a big mistake. You're giving your shrugs. I think the main reason it stands out is because in the last episode when Devin was having leadership issues, he kept using that attack. Like instead of putting the shield up, he's like full rocket spread, go the rockets. And so I think that was on everybody's mind. So when he does his beam that had another name early on, and he's like rockets, it's like that's not rockets.
Yeah.
Although I probably wouldn't have noticed it if I hadn't heard other people point it out, to be fair.
One thing that I found kind of cool.
Yeah.
When he's going out in gorilla mode initially, the way the CG is gave me super strong vibes of Conga Zord and Wild Force.
I was going to say it might remind me of Wild Force as well.
Yeah, just a blue one, but it was like, and then popped it up, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
I agree with that. So here comes the train, and as you're doing the chugga chugga. Excuse me. And the two are behind him, and they're literally doing like a conga line train sort of thing, which I thought was cool. Like, if they just did that, it would be kind of like dopey, but it actually factored into the attack because then he kind of took the heat and they would fly up and attack. And this one, I don't know, yeah, this look where he jumps up and shoots, it made me think of like a Gundam or like some other kind of robot, like very not Power Rangers clunky fighting. It was more like sleek, like pow. I just thought it was a cool shot, and I hope so. For that reason, I hope the Gigatronics become a thing. Again, it increases the chance there'll be a figure because that's another cool kind of figure I would like to have.
Yeah, pretty much everything we've seen thus far, if I don't see something of it at San Diego Comic-Con, I'm going to be upset.
Okay, that's the deadline?
Well, because I could see them being like, okay, we heard you. We're going to make literally everything from the show into figures. It's like, okay, thank you. Here are the prototypes.
Now, when you say we heard you don't mean the fan base. You mean you.
Me specifically. They went, I am one of the 4 lurkers. I saw it. I saw it on Twitch. We heard you. Your voice has been heard. We saw the shrugs. We counted them.
Amazing.
Over here is the demo. So,
fair enough. All right, so go ahead.
No,
so I think you're right. There's no other reality that could exist other than that. But he's getting hammered, and Ravi's getting bounced around, and then we cut to Zoe. She's also getting shot at, and she's getting bounced around. And they're like, "Wow, 3-on-1. This is pretty tough. What are we gonna do?" And then there's a better shot of the train setup. Yeah, they remind me of like Robotech or Macross too as well.
Kind of, yeah. More Macross is what I was thinking.
And then he's like, "Well, they're forming up. We could form up too." And I kind of liked that. Like that was a good line. Still not loving this transformation sequence, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It's all CGI. I like when they mix it up a little bit. And then there's the Megazord. So this is only our second time seeing the Megazord. Another shot I thought was composed well. It's a very classic Power Ranger shot, but I still enjoyed it. I kind of missed it, but he does the same thing where he launches them up. But now the Rangers are ready for that, and so they just shoot straight up, which I thought was cool. Like he didn't even like look, like it wasn't even like he aimed, just like shoot straight up to get them, and it took him out pretty quickly, pretty handily. But this goes back to what I was saying before about the fights kind of wrapping up really quickly because they've used time on other stuff.
Yeah.
So he takes them out. It's like, okay, cool, and then Railtron or Gigatron or Giga whatever his name is, Giga Railroad Big Man. He's sort of like he was coming, and then they get shot, and he's like, whoa, like he lost control of himself. Like, did we miss something there? Why is he out of control now?
Maybe he's somehow tethered to the other drones, and that's why when they're hurt, he's hurt.
Rail drone, thank you, Matt. A lot of times I go with your explanations, but I feel like we missed something here. Like it just because he doesn't go like, "Ooh, I'm hurt." He looks like I don't have the video obviously, but it looks like he's running, and then it's like, "Whoa!" But he keeps moving forward. Like it's weird. And so immediately they're like, "Okay, call in the cheetah beast blaster." And we're gonna need this to use the sword, which makes no sense. And
I was gonna say timeout.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about that. Yeah,
I know, but this solidified it more. Where when we look, they shoot up with their sword.
Yeah, so why not shoot forward?
Everything they do is backwards. I hate it. The swords give blast, and they have a blaster for the sword, and
if only you could express yourself. Anyway, so they pull out the Cheetah Beast Blaster to use the Sword Slash. What bothered me more was he once again is in this kind of blue wobbly thing that we saw before that actually was shot from the Megazord, although they didn't really explain it, like almost like a capture ball or something. They didn't even show us shoot it this time, so he's like, oh, he's in that already, I guess? And then the Slash comes. So it's this weird thing where like they shoot the Gigadrones, or the Gigatronics, and then he's out of control. Then suddenly in a bubble cut in half. It was like a super fast, like, they win. And it was just sort of like anticlimactic a little bit. It didn't ruin the episode, but it was just very fast and strange.
I think the pacing of the episode was, all right, we get it. We've made you really hate 2 of these Rangers. Let's just call the episode a wash, move on to 8, and we'll see what happens.
I don't think they knew. But we do cut back to the base. And now we see the Beast Bots all fully restored. They're walking around. Oh, we're supposed to meet here? Oh, no, did we make a mistake again? Which they're so terrified of making mistakes because their personalities will get wiped. It's a sad existence for the Beast Bots. But then, boom, lights, camera. We changed this banner, so now it's for you. Which is a nice gesture, but if you think about it for a second, the Beast Bots did all the work except for the banner, and all the food could only be eaten by the humans. So it's like, all right, it's a nice gesture, but all you did was change the banner. It's Oh, here you go. Thank you, Beastbots. You're our best friends, which also I thought was a bit of a stretch. Not just saying thank you, Beastbots. You're our best friends. Like they're overcompensating at this point, I think.
I agree 110%. And I don't like the CG that they used on that banner. I wish they just crudely taped it.
Oh wait,
But
you think that's CG?
I think a little bit. They didn't just print out a brand new banner.
Why not?
No.
Why?
They won't even accept blue sports drinks. They're not going to go through the effort of printing out a brand new banner.
Oh, I assume that they just told Nate or somebody, hey, can you print us out a new banner?
Because they're the worst, except for yellow.
I'm pretty sure it's not CGI. I could be wrong, but that'd be a weird thing to CGI when you you could just make it prop really easily.
I don't know.
But the Beastbots, because they're so nice, they're like, this is lovely. We forgive you immediately. This is great. You're our friends. Thank you. And it's like, man, it takes so little to make them happy. You couldn't even do that.
I know.
But this right here, I did not like this joke. Maybe you liked it. Do you want to tell us how much you liked this joke?
So I didn't hate this joke as much as you did. And
Really?
The thing that I didn't hate about it that made sense was
Well, tell the joke.
Okay, so they have the cake that everybody had frosted.
Nope. You're skipping ahead. Sorry.
Okay, then you tell it.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about the same thing. I apologize.
Okay.
Smash is like, oh, this is so good. I think I'm gonna cry. Then Ravi says, don't do that. You'll rust. I hated that joke.
Oh, that joke was terrible.
And I thought you wanted to talk about it because you hate Ravi, so I was trying to give it to you.
Honestly, it was so bad I forgot it until you just brought it up.
Oh, so it's like when I said joke, you're like, there was no joke there. There was terrible dialogue.
Yeah, there was just Ravi having another check mark of why I don't like it.
Okay, but whether you liked it or not, it was a joke. It was written to be a joke. The reason I didn't like it, I didn't mind Ravi being concerned because the whole point is they're supposed to be concerned.
He's not concerned. He's selfish. He's like, no, if you rushed, you can't assist me.
You're
whether or not you have a personality. No, he's the worst.
You're projecting at this point. Dolly Girl says, "Ah, best friends." Yeah, it is a nice scene despite the fact we're picking it apart. Ravi. Smash can't cry. He could be upset, but they didn't put like water or tear ducts in there that could potentially damage him. So he can't physically cry. And if he could, he would be built to be able to handle that. So it's more like Ravi is like, "Oh, don't cry, buddy. You know, it's all good time." He's like, I'm making weird assumptions about your mechanical anatomy that are untrue. Like, it's just, he can't cry. And if he did, he wouldn't rust. So that annoys me.
The other thing that added insult to injury, if you look at two jokes next to each other, initially in the episode, why do you have frosting on your hand? It was from my lunch. You don't eat. Oh, I'm going to cry. Instead of just sticking with your baloney, you're like, no, you'll rest. No, you're contradicting yourself and you're the worst.
He didn't say he was going to cry the first time. He just looked sad, and Ravi walked out not caring. So I think it's Ravi trying to prove he cares, but I think Smash is just saying it. Like, I think I'm going to cry. Like, metaphorically. He can't actually cry. And then Ravi's being like, I know so little about you that I think maybe you can cry and it's going to hurt you in some way, but I want to overcompensate.
I saw him as just contradicting himself because he's like, no, I'm thinking logically. You can't eat. Oh, I'm not thinking logically. You can rust and cry.
I mean, Ravi was a jerk this episode, but once again, you're just looking for the worst possible interpretation.
It's almost done for me to stop the rant. What does Matt Kendall Clare say? Take a look, and you were right about the Wheeler Zord's beam. It was called Beast Beam originally, so calling it Rocket Storm was definitely incorrect.
And to be fair, I mentioned it the show, but I didn't. Somebody online who it was like in a Facebook group somewhere, somebody said it, so I unfortunately can't credit them, but. Okay, so this is the part you're talking about, where he's like, hey, Cruz, you're my buddy, and everything's cool, and they're all making up, and he's like, hey, Smash, I'm sorry I'm the worst ranger according to the Bigdawg Defender. And then Zoe's like, fist bump, we're the two best people, I mean, well, Nate's pretty good, but, we're the best. And I love that he's like, here's my little wheel. Like, I don't know. And I love that she keeps getting down to his level. I just appreciate that. I used to work at a theme park, and they would always say, like, if there's a kid asking you for help or something, like, kind of crouch down, get on their level, show them you respect them. Don't, like, talk down to them. Not just with your words, but physically it's better to do that. And so, like, I don't know. It's a weird thing, but I'm like, she's doing it right. Like, I had my theme park training. She's doing it right. Like, this is the part you're talking about.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the part that this is what I thought you were talking about originally. Mm-hmm. I didn't hate this joke because the only person that knew about it was the most distracted and distraught person the whole episode, which was Jax. Mm-hmm. Of like, Oh yeah, we put 2 people in this cake. Whoops! Guess we've left them here all day.
And then, of course, it was Ben and Betty.
Yep.
Which I saw that, and I actually had the thought of like, wait, are Ben and Betty going to jump out of a cake? Because typically that's something like a stripper does. And this is a
Yeah.
kid's show, so that makes no sense. But like, I guess just to be a bigger surprise.
Split the difference.
Yeah, I mean, okay, sure. And then, and it's crazy, and they're even saying like, "Were you in there that whole time? Like that? How could you?" And they're like, "We ate a lot of cake," which
Yeah.
I didn't love that joke until she just came out with this crazy random burp, which is stupid, but it made me laugh.
Yeah, you love bodily humor.
We ate a lot of cake, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, nah, they got me. Halfway through my not liking it, I like, and her face, selling it. Because she's not like brrr, and like embarrassed. She's just like, brrr, that's what we do here. I'm
Yep.
Betty. I don't care. I eat cake and burp like a crazy. And he's smiling like, that's my sis.
We just need to switch them as red and blue now, and we're fine.
Let's move on.
Betty can be red, and Ben can be blue.
I
It
would
works.
I would rather they become their own Rangers and bring up the the whole team gets lifted up by them being Rangers.
Whatever works.
All right, so they laugh at her amazing burp, and that seems to be the end of the episode. But meanwhile, back in Scarborough country, we have I don't even know what we've got. Oh no!
Sorry, that one got me.
I broke the
I
I broke the big dog.
All right, bad dreams are us. Where are we?
Matt Kendall Clarkson. At least it was burp humor, not fart humor. I could be tricked with fart humor too. It's tough because on the one hand, I don't want a lot of lowest common denominator jokes, but they do occasionally get me if I'm being honest. Dolly Girl talking about Mario. I'm not even gonna justify that. So we cut back Scrozzle and the Tronics, and it's funny again. We didn't see any Tronics last episode, and we've seen a lot this episode. We saw a bunch in the civilian fight. We saw Gigatronics, and now we're seeing Tronics in the nightmare dimension of Giga Digital. And I don't remember.
Yeah.
Have we seen them here before?
I don't believe so. I had the same thought where I'm like, that's kind of odd, but okay.
Yeah, and so they definitely I wonder if, from a production point of view, I wonder if they were working on both episodes at the same time, and so all the Tronics were being heavily used in one, so the other didn't use them at all. Like, I wonder if that's why that happened. That's just an interesting thought. So, but Scrozzle, Scrozzle has him moving around, and he's like, "Get that over here! And we need this!" And I'm Scrozzle. And then once again, 3 episodes in a row.
Oh, I love it. I love how we're like, oh, conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat. What if they do something with this helmet? And it never gets brought up again until 20 episodes later. Another episode, they're like, you see this helmet?
Yeah.
This helmet that
he
you saw?
even
This one right here?
Yeah. He even says specifically, like, that's the most important one. Get it to the warehouse. And that's interesting to me here. They teleport to the warehouse. What?
Yeah.
I thought they were all kind of trapped in this small part of this small dimension. Now, yes, he can go to, like, the real world sometimes, but does that mean he has a warehouse on our Earth? Or is there some other secret evil dimension place that Blaze and Roxy don't go to?
Theory time.
Going to the one shot.
They obviously have a lot of Morph-X because they stole a ton of it a couple episodes back. So similar to how Roxy and Blaze have to use the Morph-X key to teleport in between, I think he has enough where he's also smart enough to be able to teleport stuff into somewhere. And he may have found either the existing warehouse that they stole a bunch of stuff from, or a new warehouse to work out of for his secret plan with getting, I almost said Vengeance, Evox into the real world.
When you say the original warehouse, you mean the Rangers warehouse?
Correct.
There's no way he's working out of that because they still use that. No, he may have found some other warehouse or whatever, but yeah, he's not working out of the Rangers warehouse where they're still in.
What if it's the warehouse? I think it was like episode 4, the very Roxy heavy episode.
Oh yeah.
Maybe something like that.
Right, but that still means that it's on Earth in the quote unquote real world.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. But it's interesting that we now know he has an off-site area. Matt Kendall Clare says, we saw the Tronics where Scrozzle debuted him. Yeah, in the first episode, he's right. Because he was like, I'm Scrozzle, here's my Tronics. And then Evox is like, they're dead, you're nothing to me. And he's like, oh. Yeah. But we haven't seen them very much, so it did still seem odd. Let me go back to the main show. Okay, so they teleport away. And here comes Blaze and Roxy, and they're like, "Oh, this place looks worse than usual," which is weird because I think it looks better. The fact that he's got like troops and things are happening, he's not just sitting there. Like, but whatever. Oh, this might go into my whatever.
Go theory time. Go.
No, it's not no behind the scenes theory because remember last episode they were all morphed up, and in this one they're not. Again, maybe they were just like running short on schedule, and they're like, well, we got the actors and the Tronics on this one, and then we got the suit actors and no Tronics on this one.
Yeah.
From behind the scenes, it makes sense.
Yeah, agreed.
So he's like, but now here's the thing that kills a lot of the theories that have been going around about that helmet. Everyone's been saying, oh, it's going to be an evil ranger, it's going to be a robot body for Evox, but he says, and it still might, but the big thing he's working on is a portal. I think maybe does he call it a cyber portal? It's a portal though, so that we could just teleport him to Earth, which doesn't explain necessarily what's going to happen with that helmet, but definitely says, well, that's on the back burner for right now. He's working on a portal. That's his big plan.
Theory time on the portal and tying the helmet together.
Okay.
So I think if the evil ranger theory is correct, somehow it has to have animal DNA and or tied to the morphing grid.
Correct.
Similar to how the avatars are somehow adjacently tied and can travel back and forth. I think that's going to be the bridge for Evox to be able to
so it's a cyber gate, but he'll have to be in sort of a ranger / avatar suit to do it. Okay, that's a pretty good theory. Matt Kendall Clare, I believe he said Matt says, I believe he said a cyber gate. That's kind of what I remember too. And Dahlia Girl says, ooh, mysterious. I agree. But he's very pleased with himself, and we end on a nice like. He turned into like an evil Santa Claus right there.
I actually was a Santa Claus one time, so I had to work on that.
Oh, that's excellent.
I was hired to be a Santa Claus for somebody for, God, it was almost 10 years ago now, and I had to work very crappy, deep, and that was all I did. It was that, and then like I tried to talk, but every time, because it was all from my diaphragm, I'd be out of breath.
Oh, so you'd be like, ho, ho, how are you, little girl?
No, like... It's funny. Now that we're on a side tangent, the first thing I asked, because I had to do it at somebody's house for these kids, and I'm like, "What did the kids get last year?" They're like, "What?" I'm like, "What did you give them last year?" That's the number one thing they're gonna ask me. And one of the kids did. He's like, "What did you give me?" I'm like, "Oh, a Nintendo DS, of course." They're like, "What color is it?" And I'm like, and I literally said, "Oh, I don't know. The elves take care of that."
That's pretty great.
It was pretty funny.
You did your homework. Well done.
Yes, thank you. But overall thoughts on the episode. Obviously, it's my least favorite. I would give it a C at best.
I forget what I gave the last one. I feel like I gave it like a C+ or something because I said
I
it had
think you
good.
Gave it a B-.
B-. I'll give this one a C+. It was more consistent. It didn't have as much. I didn't like the way the Rangers were acting, but it wasn't a bad episode. The parts of it that were like actually bad episode and not just me being annoyed with the Rangers for not being good people was, like I said, some of the fight scenes were like just like done,
choppy.
So some of the editing or choices there weren't great, so I'll give it a C+. It was, and it was absolutely a filler episode, but again, they still forwarded the bigger plot a little bit by showing that Scrozzle's still working on his thing, which I always appreciate. And even though it was filler, I did want to see. I literally said I want to see me more of these spots. So they gave me what I wanted in a filler episode. It's much better than if it was like, hey, it's Ravi's birthday and we all forgot and derp, like what it usually, you know what I mean? So for it, I give it a C+ as an episode. I give it a A- for a filler episode, if that makes sense.
I give it a B- as a filler episode. And a C- the more I think about it.
Okay.
I said C at best. The things I liked were like C, maybe even like small finite parts like Jax alone, C+.
Jax gets an A+ for this episode for sure.
Oh, he was phenomenal. He was great. Zoe, I was a little disappointed in, but honestly, I'm most disappointed in Devin. Like, the last two episodes, they're like, just dislike him.
He's got to have a redemption coming up. He's got to do something awesome. I hope so.
Because the way they introduced him as the leader, I thought was great.
Perfect.
He didn't ask for it. He just did it. He filled the role. And then last episode, no, I'm the leader. Listen to me, even though I'm wrong. And this episode, hey, let's just forget about our friends and just be.
I agree. It seems like these should have come first, and then he grows. But They need it because it's Power Rangers. They need a leader right away, and so yeah, it is a bummer. I hope that they get back on track because they definitely established them as a certain type of character and a positive way, and then they're, with Ravi, love him or hate him, it's been sort of consistent, and Zoe more or less been consistent. Devin has been a little bit all over the place the last couple episodes.
The one thing I will say for Devin specifically,
yes,
if they wanted to extend the jerk subplot for him, at least give it like some kind of rationale of like, oh, ever since I got fired from the car wash, my dad's been on me about finding a new job.
Yes, agreed.
Now I got just some throwaway line where I'm like, I don't condone your actions, but I understand why you're stressed.
And people have thrown that out as a possible explanation too, which I agree would be a good one, but making it official would be better.
Yeah.
So we actually got through this episode a little bit quicker than usual, which is good.
I was surprised.
But although there was a lot of me saying stuff and you going, I think that. So if anybody has any questions or suggestions, now's the time to throw them out as I do the closing ceremony series. Thank you for everyone who has watched live. Thank you for people in chat. Thank you for our lurkers. If you're watching on YouTube later, thank you for that. Chat is always nice. Like, subscribe, follow on whatever media you follow us. Tell your friends. Tell your family, tell your beast bots. The more people watch, the better we could do, and the more we could give back to you guys. While we're seeing if anybody has any questions, this isn't exactly Ranger related, but I got this. It's a Godzilla figure, so it's Tokusatsu. There's a little bit of crossover, and the reason I want to point it out is this is an American figure. I got it at Target. It's from Nika. It cost me $20, and it's almost as good as the 60+ Monster Arts figures you'd get from Bandai. Yeah, the detailing is great. Like, I don't know if you can see that face. It's a little bit of a derpy Godzilla, so he might not be your favorite, but that's exactly what he looks like. It's Godzilla versus King Kong. He came with a breath effect, which some of my figure arts haven't even come with, or Monster Arts, I should say. Arguably, the paint on the fins could be a little bit better, but I was kind of on the fence about getting him, and when I saw him in the box for $20, I grabbed it. I couldn't believe it. It was an Easter present to myself. And the articulation is not amazing. There's a lot of cuts that are hard to move, but that's kind of true on the Monster Arts, too, because they're made out of these big rubber suit actor suits where they could barely move. So if you like monster figures or Godzilla or anything like that, for $20, you can't do much better. Like, it's so much cheaper than the Japanese one, and it's like almost as good. Like really, really just barely a little bit not as good. So that's sort of, not Ranger related, but something to think about. He could be a Ranger monster if you want. He's just,
Yeah. What I will say along the same lines, my definitive Godzilla, I think, is Millennium.
Okay.
Around 2002. But it's funny you brought that up. I've been watching a lot of reviews lately on Mecha Godzillas from Monster Arts.
Yeah.
And they're so expensive.
They are.
I'm surprised that NECA hasn't made some kind of Mecha Godzilla, because
I still need the first Mecha Godzilla, and I would like, after seeing this, I would like to get one from Nika or NECA. Yeah. I also want the King Kong from King Kong vs. Godzilla. I'm not a huge King Kong fan, and that King Kong is super derpy, but now that I have him, I want the two of them,
I heard that the Mezco one's actually pretty good, and the price isn't bad. It's only like $35.
Oh, really? I'll have to look into that. Is that based on the Skull Island one?
Kind of, but even from what I've seen, it's like a little more cartoony, but in a good way for what you're looking for.
Gotcha. Matt Kendall Clare, hope everyone had a good Easter yesterday for those who celebrated. Same. Happy Easter to anybody who celebrated. And if not, I hope you just had a good day. Yeah. I had chocolate.
I was going to say, for those that don't celebrate, we all reap the rewards of clearance candy.
Half price today already.
Go out there. Tomorrow it'll probably be 17%. I saw 19 rabbits yesterday. Wow! That's a lot of rabbits.
What?
Dolly Girl said, I saw 19 rabbits.
Oh, I thought you were saying I saw 19 rabbits. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I did not.
How did you see, I guess at a petting zoo or something? Where'd you see all the rabbits? Oh, on the way home from work. That's a good sign. Rabbits on Easter. That's awesome.
Yeah. One thing for your previous comment about keeping the conversation going, shout out to those of you watching on YouTube, just because those YouTube comments have been just fired with questions and insight and awesome. One thing that was brought up on, I don't remember if it was last week's video or a previous one, about if we were to talk about Six Rangers or Zord against Zord, things like that. If you guys have anything like that you want us to do, I know at some point with holidays or summer vacation they take breaks with the show, but we don't want to take breaks if we can avoid it. So any topics you want us to discuss, throw them in here, throw them on any form of social media, and we're more than happy to ramble.
Those will be our filler episodes, so it's better if we're rambling about things you want to hear us ramble about.
Yeah.
And it's also, like I said, it's really good to put comments in YouTube as well, because at least for right now, I've talked about doing something else, but for right now, that's the main place where you can interact with each other, because we don't know all the answers, or we may not be available to answer the comments, but when you put it there, I've seen people answering each other's comments and all interacting, and it's awesome. So, that's a good place to do it right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Matt went to his sister's for Easter, so that's cool. Dolly Girl, I listen to anything. I love being part of the little community. I look forward to it. Well, thanks for being part of our little community here, Dolly.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
I think that's as good a note as we're going to get to end on. I think it's been a very, despite being the not best episode, it was still a positive show, except for, all your shrugging. And I think that's it for me, Gazbot Knight, and everybody in chat, and also
Big Dawg Defender.
Thanks a lot, and may the power protect you.